This morning, but in a different, with a different speaker, a very good friend, which is Lobsang Sangay, who is the former president of the Tibetan government in exile, who is here today among us. And I would like to invite our president, Mr. Dolphin Issa, on stage to introduce this, and also our moderator, Dr. Erkin Siddiq, on stage as well.
Başlaştım bir eskertip koyduğum neyse, hürmetli kıyımdaşlar, biz sual sorgan çağda kısıkçılam sorsak, bayanat, abaykıdaki bayanat, ben dedim, bayanat ilan kımaylı, onu ayrım kafe, işkeş deyişi aldığın gepler buldu. Kısıkçılam sualımız bolsa, sualını soraylı, bolmasa kiyin paranlasak buldu. Just a reminder to ask very brief questions because we're running late and not make statements. Just very brief. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your patience. Now I would like to introduce my dear friend Lobsang Sangay. He was the former president or prime minister Tibet government in exile, and he is now teaching Harvard Law School, and he was the prime minister from 2011 to 2021, 10 years. Now he's back again to the Harvard Law School, and he also, during the 10 years as a prime minister of the Tibet government exile, he did amazing job. We cannot count all, but we can say this 2021, as if I'm not wrong, and the Tibet Act, and because of his effort, Tibet Act and adopted by the US Congress. Assalamu alaikum, aziz yurttaşlar. Biz hazır seni teklif kılan kişimiz, dostumuz Lobsang Sangay. Bu Tibet sürgün hükümetininki 2011 yıldan 2021 yılgacha 2 karar 10 yıl baş ministerligini kıldı epade. Yüze Amerika'daki Harvard Üniversitesi'ndeki kanun fakültesinde okudukça uyaktın Tibet'in baş ministeri oldu ve vazifesi sürdüğündeki yeni şeye kayıtıp gitti. Bu 10 yıllık baş ministerlik vaktinde Tibet için nait köp işlerini kıldı. Mühimleri Tibet hakkındaki bir kanunun Amerikan Kongresi'nin çıkış için mühim rol oynadı. Amerika hükümetinin Tibet sürgün hükümetini Tibet halkına vekillik kılı salayeti var diyen karar 2020 müşavirindeki gayretleri neticesinde çıktı. Yakın dostumuz. Hem de bugün Lobsang Sangay'ın bizge değdiğine nait mühim. Hemimiz kızıp atkan bir mesele. Yani bizde yamancık sürküntü hükümetli var. Her ayda birisi kurulması mı yılda 3-4 kurulmadı da hazır. Sürgün hükümet bizge lazım mı? Lazım. Ama her haftada birisi kurulup bunda hükümet lazım emez. Bunun bir müddet 2 tane 9 mu 10 mu aldık gelen 4-5 yerden bir sürgün hükümet kurup bunu pahallaştırıp etti. Şunun da biz bir yerde zaten sürgün hükümetinin kanuni asasları kandağı bulundu. Çünkü Tibet sürgün hükümeti bugün dünyada kabul kılıngan ve özünün sistemlik idareleri bilen hakiki bir sürgün hükümetlik salahiyetini ettirip atkan bir hükümet. Şunun da biz bir yerden, çünkü ben nurgulluğa yerlerine barım hiç kaçan özümüzün adamların, özümüzün teşkilatların hakkı yamanlap belgeli olmaydı, yaman gibidik. Ama kıyım bir mesele. Sonradan o sılın kaç tane hükümeti var? Mazak kılıdığan, çetellikler bazı yer bassak bize zanlı kılıdığan. Mazak kılıdığan bir haldı mı bop kalımız verdi. Sonra o 9 tane baş ministerin varken bu. O 10 tane prezidentli varken bu. Deydiğen suallar, bazıları çak yiyip durup deydi, bazı resmi bilmeyi durup deydi. Bu maalesef cevap veremeydi. Onun da haberim yoktu. Ben aldır sen bilvağın der cevap verdik. Şunun da hemimiz otoğalla Uygur davasının kelişi için başkattırıp atkallar. Kandaklık Uygur davasını bugünkü halkara seviyede tutuvatman davaga bunu ilgiletiş için es koşuş mecburiyetimiz var. Onu ilgili tutuş için es koşamazsak hiç olmazsa buluvattan davanın kursunu düşürmeye jim duruş mecburiyetimiz var. Şimdi biz bütün yığınlarımızda, bütün hareketlerimizde Uyghur halkı, bana abiyetim Michael Fanval, Şarkı Türkistan'ın bedenimizden müstemlik toprak ekenliğini kanuni tarihi asaslarla ispatlap çıktı. Dünya kurultu bunu 2020 başladı. 3 yıl devam etti. Tügeç baskıcı da bugün kıskışçılar takdim kıldı. Endi biz tarih asaslarıyla, kanuni asaslarıyla ve muş yığınlarda oturup kopuşlarımızdan abiyet yak sözlügerlerin hemisi dağıtısılar. 10 yıl aldı, 20 yıl aldı, dünya kurultu Kayseri'de bugün Kayseri'ye yaptı. Diye muşların hemisi çünkü muşlar bugün tönegini yak oturgan bir yerde Amerika'nın konsulxanasının adamları vardı. Olar gap kımı diye Çek'nin tönegin muavin taşkışlar ministri geldi. Kelip ular bizni körüp yığınlarımızda anlap yapılarımız desek biz yapılmaydı. Köylük geldi. Ular demiş köylüldü ma millet şu safa bağ mı şu süpet bağ mı yok mu? Bu millet devlet kuralımdı kuranmamdı. Şunun için köylük geldi. Notlarını Tayvan'ın nemeleri geldi. Nurgulluğun devletlerinin nemeleri var. Kelip notlarını elip gitip vardı. Bizden şunun için yığınlardaki oturak kopuşumuz, menişimiz, sözlerimizden hemmisi bizim gelecekte çünkü devletle bizim orada atım bombamız yok, kurallarımız yok. Bu da devletlerinin yardımcısız biz devlet kuramayız. Eğer bizim yardım kılış için bizden şununkilik sağlığa süper seviye bas yardım kıldı. Bu olmasa biz yardım kılmaydı. Şunga hepimiz gitti. Bu mühim bir tema. Şunga biz dünyanın her kaysi yerlerinden kelgen faaliyetçilerimizge, dostlarımızga zaten Tibet sürgün hükümetinin geçmişlerden qanday kuruldu deydigan bu narsani so'zlab berish uchun do'stimiz Lobsangni bu yerga taklif qildik. Doktor Erkinslik efendimni tanıysizlar Uyg'urlarning faxrlik olimlaridan birisi NASA'da ishlaydi. Lobsang yüzünki leksiyasini so'zlagandan keyin andan keyin vaqt qarab savol javob bilan davom etamiz. Okay, thank you very much.
Tercümanlar, Sisur tercümanlar, hiç almayın yok.
Tercüme kılatamsın? Ha? Yok. Gel, kılatamsın. Komşuya kıldı. Bana anlarlar, tercüman var.
Selamun aleyküm.
Aleykümselam.
I told my brother, Dolkut, to praise me as much as you can in Uyghur language, so that, after sumptuous dinner, right, we all a little lazy and bored, but you might not remember my presentation, but you will remember he is praising me. But I must say, mashallah, yesterday food, Uyghur food was so good, huh? Yes or no?
Yes.
And today I went, and Omar was in front of me. I said, where is Uyghur lunch today? He said, oh, as per the hotel, we have to serve hotel food. That made me miss yesterday's Uyghur food more.
Yes.
Yes or no? Yes. See, everybody is thinking about yesterday's food, yeah? And yesterday also, the children, when they dance, was it beautiful? I think we should thank all the teachers and the volunteers who taught them well. Please give them a big applause. Because from Munich to Beijing, these children sent a message to Beijing, to Xi Jinping, saying, you might put 3 million Uyghurs in concentration camp, you might put 1 million Tibetan children in boarding school, but we, the children who were born in Germany but never seen in Turkestan, will never forget our country. Also, these children sent a message to the Bazaar of Khasgar, to the Mosque of Urumqi. You all are suffering. We were born in Germany, but we dress like Uyghur, we sing like Uyghur, we dance like Uyghur because we are Uyghur. Chinese Communist Party might try to destroy civilization, our culture, our identity, but we, the younger generation, will never forget. We will stand on our feet as Uyghur, with Uyghur identity, with pride, because the elder generation has given that pride and inspiration to carry on the freedom struggle. Yes or no?
Yes.
And celebrating this 20th anniversary, it's a remarkable achievement. From Munich, Dolkun and your team has sent a message to Beijing again, right? No matter how much you repress, suppress, kick us, beat us, torture us, but we will keep growing stronger and stronger every year, and we will last for 20 more years.
Yes.
And also, I think we sent a message to Washington, D.C., to Brussels, to Tokyo, right? We are not just victims, but we are fighters. Freedom fighters will keep fighting, and you must join us because victory will be ours.
Yes.
Chairman came late, but he got it. He's clapping. But then we must also send a message, especially to Paris, because someone is coming tomorrow, right? France, they take pride in the independence movement. Life, liberty, and brotherhood. They talk about it all the time. They teach us. What about our life and liberty? France should stand with us. Don't host that person who betray life and liberty of Tibetans, Uyghurs, Hong Kongers, Mongolians, maybe Taiwanese too. So that's the message we are sending to Paris as well. Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I have two hats, okay? Because Dolkut introduced me as the former president of Tibetan government exile, so I was wearing my politician hat and trying to be emotional. Now I have to be a lecturer and give a lecture, right? So first I want to congratulate World Uyghur Congress for celebrating 20th anniversary. To start anything, it's not easy. It's a matter of 4S. Start, survive, very difficult. Strengthen, more difficult. Sustain is much more difficult. Now what would or what should World Uyghur Congress do? You have started, you have survived. For 20 years you have strengthened. Now to sustain, my recommendation here is to transform World Uyghur Congress as Uyghur government in exile. Again, it's nothing new. We saw the footage of history of East Turkestan. You had government, you had prime ministers, you had ministers, yes or no?
Yes.
So you had one when East Turkestan was independent. Why can't you have in exile? You must.
Too much.
Not too much. Tibetans, we have government in exile. For 60 years, now for 65 years, we are your kind of, in this movement, we are your elder brother. We can give you, a lot of my Uyghur friends are saying, oh, we should learn from Uyghurs, we should give us advice. Our best advice is, if you have government exile, what you do is first, you tell Beijing, directly challenge the legitimacy and illegal occupation of East Turkestan. What you are saying is you are not the government of Uyghur people. Historically there was one, and in exile we have one. In East Turkestan, all the leaders, party secretary is always Han Chinese, chief judge is always Han Chinese, police is always, Tungdambu is all Han Chinese. But World Uyghur Congress is all Uyghur. And what Beijing fear most, if you have 10 organizations, if you have 100,000 Uyghur successful people, they don't fear. If there is a united democratic front, a government, they fear that most, because you are directly challenging them. 100 organizations cannot challenge Beijing's rule. you can question them. But by bringing your sheer presence, you can challenge them. That is what His Holiness-led Tibetan government exile is doing. Why Chinese government issued 13 white papers on Tibet in the last 65 years? 13. On Uyghur issue, maybe 1 or 2 or 3?
5, 6.
Yeah? Increasing now. Why we have 13? Because there is a government exile. Why on Hong Kong 1 or 2 white papers? Because we have government exile. That's my advice. Now, to be a government exile is not that difficult. I'm not talking of radical changes. You just have to restructure a few things and rename a few things, okay? It's very simple, yeah? And because I'm writing a book on how to set up and run democratic government exile. I spent 15 years at Harvard, academic research on comparative government exile. And 10 years running government exile in Dharamsala. So I have 25 years of experience. So I've been consulted. Now I'm also trying to meet. I've met Venezuelans and Belarusians and Afghans and Hong Kongers and Mongolians, and they all are waiting for my book. But today you're getting the first chapter. This is a special treatment to my Uyghur brothers. Okay? I think I'm getting too much into Lobsang Sangay, the politician, so I'll wear my academic hat now. Okay? The controller is here. So, inspiration from our elder leaders. Look, His Holiness Dalai Lama and Abdikan and Mehmet Emin Bukra, they met in 1960. These people had vision, had the courage to fight. When we had nothing, His Holiness Dalai Lama always said, when we came to exile as refugees, we have no friends on this sky and this earth. No friends. But they had the spirit, they had the belief that if they start something, the second generation, third generation will continue the movement, carry forward, and one day we will meet in Munich and celebrate a successful 20th anniversary of World Uyghur Congress. So salute to our elders. Now, United Democratic Front is a bigger threat to autocratic system because you can directly challenge the illegal rule. And democratic exile is more attractive than autocratic regime because even in East Turkestan, Uyghur people will say, hey Beijing, your system is repressive. Our alternative in Munich is very good. Because they can point and say, that's the alternative we want. That's what the world wants. That's what we want. And then, to be government exile, as I said, you need to restructure it. You already have executive committee. You just have to transform that executive committee into a parliament. You just call that parliament. And Dolkud is president, you have 6 vice presidents. You just call them cabinet. Very simple. Oh, what is this president and vice president? That's our cabinet. Oh, what is the executive committee? That's our parliament. We meet every month, and in person we meet every 6 months, like parliament. And all the news media will say, oh yes, World Uyghur Congress is government exile because they have a parliament, they have a cabinet, they have election. Boom, very simple, huh? You know the trick? You know the trick, Tibetans. If you get our name card of our Sikyong or member of parliament, we don't call ourselves Tibetan government exile. We call ourselves Central Tibetan Administration. Yeah? But all our friends call us government exile. Media call us government exile. They call me president, prime minister. I say yes. But my name card doesn't say prime minister. My name card just says Sikyong. So there are ways to do it. It's not difficult, very simple. And then you need audit office also to strengthen it. Because, as I said, to start is easy in some sense. To survive is difficult, strengthen is much more difficult, sustain is much more difficult. One of the reasons, I'll show you, one of the reasons why many government exiles have come and gone, one reason they fail is because of corruption or misuse of fund. Because of lack of separation of power, check and balance. That's why they fail. That's why if you have a parliament, you have check and balance. If you have a strong audit office, you audit. It will help you to become stronger. It will help World Uyghur Congress to not just continue for another 20 years, if need be 40 years, maybe in 2 years we'll go back to Urumqi. Yeah? As a government exile. And then, you say there is election. Beijing, they don't have election. World Uyghur president is elected. Xi Jinping is not elected. Democratic mandate challenges CCP. So that's why you must have democratic government in exile. Now don't worry, Tibetan government exile was not the first one. World Uyghur Congress will not be the second one. Many government exiles have been there. These are the successful cases. Spanish Republic in exile, Polish government exile. Baltics, they didn't have government, they have embassies in exile. But they lasted for decades. They succeeded in pressuring, in bringing democracy in Baltic states. Don't worry, if you cannot be a government exile, you can be a Democratic Party in exile. Look, ANC in South Africa, they succeeded. Namibia, SAPO succeeded. In Angola, UNITA succeeded. Venezuela also, they brought democracy actually. Armenia also, they succeeded. But later, some of these political parties became something different. That's different, okay? But they did. So even democratic political parties have succeeded and have gone back. And many exile leaders have gone back as a democratic leader. Look, King Simon of Bulgaria, Hamid Karzai of Afghanistan. Remember after Taliban fell, Hamid Karzai became the first president of Afghanistan. He was in exile. Prince Alexander of Yugoslavia. And then he went and ran for election. He won the election. He formed a government. Thabo Mbeki of South Africa. He became the second president of Nelson Mandela. He was in exile. Ramos Horta of East Timor. I have met him. Years ago, I said, Ramos Horta, you've been, fighting for your cause for so long. What is your advice? He said, keep fighting, keep at it. And he said, one day I got invited from somewhere from Midwest America. And one young guy came with a ponytail to pick him up at the airport. And he changed 3 planes to get there, first of all. And he drove him to a cafeteria, Ramos Horta. At the cafeteria, there were like 6 people. But he spent 2 hours and 1 day and flew back. He said, doesn't matter, Lobsang. Whether there's 6 people or 60 people or 600 people or 6,000 people, keep fighting, keep marching. You will succeed. And Ramos Horta succeeded. Now he is the elected president of East Timor. In our lifetime it happened. So don't think that it will not happen to us. It will happen sooner than later, okay? Now, as I'm writing a book, I have contributors, they all are writing. Exile, you have democratic political party in exile, or diplomacy and media in exile, like the Baltic states, or you can have self-managed schools, hospitals. To have democracy in exile is challenging because being an exile movement and democracy. So Tibetan government exile, we have succeeded in combining the two. So that's why in Tibetan government exile also we always say, oh, we need unity, don't criticize us, you know. But you say, why? Single voice, freedom of speech, right? A single leader, opposition parties. So there is fundamental contradiction in philosophy of bringing freedom movement and democracy in exile. So often, you know, Dolkun and they all are criticized all the time, right? Omar, right? All the time, right? As a leader, every day, yeah, even today, yeah, I know that, yeah. I was at the receiving end for 10 years. But I always say this because this is a reality of the bringing freedom movement and democracy in exile. The fault lines, the cracks, criticism happen because we say unity, you say diversity, you say one voice, you say freedom of speech. That's the contradiction. So I know Dolkun, Omar, sometimes they are worried, often they are not that worried. We should not worry because that's the nature of things, being an exile leader. So we must understand that. And who will be your host country is very important if you want to form a government exile. For us, India has been great. But if you have a host country which is too small, it might pressure you to leave. Right? Polish government left. Spanish government also left. They have to leave to Mexico. So choosing a host country is very important. And then infiltration, assassination, co-optation, divide and rule is part and parcel of reality. Right? We all are being targeted. They co-opt people, they bribe you, they pay you to criticize you, you know. Because the divide and rule is Beijing's strategy. So they use everything possible. I mean, in exile cases, many exile leaders were killed. That's a fact. So you must accept in exile, when someone says, I want to be a leader, you must appreciate the fact that that leader has agreed to face potential assassination, harassment, intimidation. Yes?
Yes.
Omar is saying, yes, the loudest time. Now, but they ain't fighting. I've all these Hongkongers, I have met Venezuelans and Belarusians. Oh, no, we can't form government exile. We fight all the time. Don't worry, that's human nature. We all fight, right? When we marry, we say, oh, till death, happiness and sadness. After 1 year, it's all gone. Even if you love someone, even if you marry to love that person, after 1 year, you fight. Yes or no? Yes. That's human nature. So it's not a big deal, okay? But we must understand it's also a result of collective trauma, because they occupied our country, right? They divided our families. They put our family members in prison. They tortured them. And people in exile, some are more emotional. Some suppress their trauma. Some heal their trauma. Some cannot. And they express the emotion more strongly. And they are very nasty. As a leader, you must understand, oh, that's the trauma speaking. Beijing's fault, not his fault or her fault. We must understand this. There's a huge study being done on collective trauma, okay? Now, again, they will say, oh, it's so difficult to have election cross-continent and cross-countries. It can be done. We'll show you how it's done. And then we have lack of legal enforcement. We don't have police station, we don't have army, we don't have tax mechanism, how to enforce things. But in 20 years, World Uyghur Congress initially started with 11 countries and 26 people. Last time, 206 people. This time, 350 people from 25 countries. There is no enforcement, there is no police, there is no military. But you keep coming, you keep coming. Why? It's your freedom. It's your nation. It's your identity. So that's the beauty of being an exile government. No police, they follow you. Yes? No army, they obey you. That's the beauty. That's the strength of democratic freedom fighters. That's the weakness of totalitarian leaders. They have military, still they don't like you. They have police, they still criticize you. They're not scared. Why? Democracy is beautiful, it's unifying. And role of international community is very important. They help you, you get recognition. So, $1,000 from NED, right? They help you, you gain life. They don't help you, and then you are stuck. But recognition and legitimacy is very important. So my recommendation to World Uyghur Congress is that you have passed many laws, but you forgot to put World Uyghur Congress in those laws. We passed one law, Tibetan Policy and Support Act in 2020. There was one in 2002, and after 20 years we passed another law in 2020, Tibetan Policy and Support Act. I put Central Tibetan Administration reflects and represents Tibetan diaspora. Sijong is the president of Central Tibetan Administration. I put, it's a law in America. American law, American Policy Act acknowledges, legally acknowledges Tibetan government exile and my position. For 10 years, I could not enter the State Department or White House because I was not recognized. They say you're a Prime Minister of exile. Now, law acknowledges Tibetan government exile. Now my successor can go to State Department easily because it's a law. So sooner World Uyghur Congress put yourself in those laws. You need legal legitimacy. Presidents come and go. Law is permanent. Funding, very difficult. If you don't have internal funding, you don't get external funding. So I know you all have started to collect money, yeah? Some fees. We do, we have something called Green Book. It's a oxymoron. It's like, what do you call it, like, you know, voluntary freedom tax. It's a tax, but you have to pay voluntarily. You don't pay tax, you don't get to vote. So Tibetans are the only one who you have to pay to vote. Normally, in other democratic countries, politicians pay you so that you vote for me. We say, no, you pay, then only you vote. You must raise internal funding and the misuse of funding, as I said. Corruption is one of the main reasons why many government exiles fail. So if you want to sustain for a longer period of time, auditor general office is very important. And divergence from people in homeland is often the case. World Uyghur Congress is something people in, East Turkestan say, no, this is what we want. You don't speak our language. You don't understand our, pain. We are suffering. You're not. It's also a fact. It always happens. Okay, don't think it's only you. And potential resentment post-exile. Oh, he wants to, Dolkun Isa is Prime Minister in exile. He wants to be a Prime Minister of East Turkestan, right? But what does he know? He was, he moved to Munich in 1996. And then he started Uyghur Youth Congress. And in 2004, he combined. What does he know about Communist Party of China? We suffer, we know, right? That is also a reality. But that also can be solved, don't worry. Okay? So, now I'll come to Tibetan government exile. I'll be very quick. So, among all the exile communities, Tibetan government exile is the most successful, efficient, running, functioning government exile. So this is how it's structured. His Holiness Dalai Lama is the head of the state. Now he has devolved his political authority. English is cabinet, but in our business card is Kashak. And then here, Kashak has our own cabinet, secretariat, there's a planning council, election commission, public service commission, audit commission are independent. And then the parliament exile. Very powerful. So these are my cabinet members, and why I show you this photograph is because he was the cabinet secretary. So if you say cabinet, you need a cabinet secretary. So this is our parliament. This is a Tibetan architecture. During my time, I renovated and rebuilt the whole thing. So if you go to Dharamsala, you get to see this. We have 8 acres of land with all the buildings, staff quarter. We have 1,500 staff members, running schools, hospitals, refugee camps. cultural institutions, everything. This is a parliament. And our parliament, those who are from UK, you take pride in this 0-hour question and answer, right? That's nothing. In UK, they showed BBC, 1 hour, Prime Minister answering the question from the head of the opposition, yes? Yeah. But all the questions were submitted beforehand. In our parliament, I had to answer 256 questions for 3 days. They ask you a question, you have to answer immediately. It's very accountable, very transparent. So why Tibetan government exile has more higher profile, why they take us seriously is the international observers. They will come to Dharamsala and say, you say you're government exile. We say, yes. How? Look at our parliament. It functions like any other parliament, better than other parliaments. It's true. And I can tell you the whole procedure. Very strict. Now, Dolkun, if you have a parliament, they are quite irritating, okay? Session twice a year, anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks, every 6 months. Exactly, we are the receiving side. They criticize you all 10 days, most of the time. After 10 days, you get tired. You say, oh my God, I've been working so hard. But every time there's a parliament, they ask me questions, they criticize me as though I've done nothing. But at the end of the 10 days, I always feel the separation of power, check and balance is very good. It strengthens our movement. It helps us sustain our movement. Otherwise, someone gets, it gets into their head. It's getting into their head, right? Xi Jinping third term, fourth term, dictators, that's how they take over power. This is how you balance. Speaker, when you enter the parliament, you have to bow. You don't bow. Equal to executive. This procedure and protocol are very, very important. I can go on and on. So we have different governments have 20, 30 ministries, but we are very simple. It functions like any other government. And each ministry is divided this way. See, we call us a chairman and kalun, not minister. Minister, friends call a minister, we say, yes, I'm a minister. But on a business card, chairman and kalun. And look, this is and I'm showing the home ministry, right? Account section, internal audit, planning, development, housing, agriculture. We take care of people from childbirth to the old age. We take care of them. This is academic section, education ministry. But this is the most important one. Our international relations, our foreign ministry. We have 13 semi-embassies in New Delhi, Kathmandu, Washington DC, Geneva, Tokyo, London, Brussels, Canberra, Paris. So we have staff members. So now if you want more embassies like this, you have to increase your donation, okay? And the information department has Tibet, and we have trilingual, social media, newspaper, everything. And we have Tibet TV in 12 languages. Chinese, Japanese, French, German, Korean, Spanish, Italian, Russian as well. And we have Tibetan Museum in Dharamsala, physically, big. And again, these are the independent institutions. Auditor General is very, very important. Why I say this is when I got elected, so I was working at Harvard, right? I left my job, and my salary was only $357 a month. So I left my job at Harvard, America. I went to Dharamsala to work for $357. Now, whenever I take a flight, let's say to New York, Normally, what do you worry? First thing, when you board the plane, you make sure your passport, right, and your wallet is in place. No, first thing I have to worry is my boarding card. Because if I don't have boarding card, Auditor General will say no reimbursement. My salary is $356 a month. If I don't get airfare for New York, that's like $1,500. I lose my 5 months salary. So first thing I say, where's my boarding card? Where's my boarding card? I put it, and then when I go back, and sometimes I flew to New York, right? They say yes. I came back. If I don't have boarding card, I can't walk from New York to Dharamsala. I must have flown. Yeah, but you need your boarding card. If I don't have boarding card, what do they do? There's no police. I don't go to jail, but they write a noting. And in the parliament, they will read. Sijong Lobsang Sangay, he came, there was no boarding card. We don't know what the hell happened. It's so embarrassing. So there's no enforcement, but there's embarrassment. And then I had to give them the best office, Auditor General. Still, it didn't help. They always write, noting. This is the office. So we have elections for everything. Sijong, my position is elected. Ministers are elected by Parliament. Judiciary elected by Parliament. Auditor General confirmed by Parliament. Election Commission. We are very fond of election. Local assembly, everything is election. So that's why even international observers come to Dharamsala, they say this is a democratic government exile because they have elections at every level. That adds to your legitimacy. Because when you are freedom movement exile, what you need is credibility and legitimacy. What we have is democratic legitimacy. See, election, we take it very seriously. Praying before vote. More prayers, right? Look at that, they have, young mothers. This is a debate. So you must also have debate, like proper. You say, why are you having debate? Yeah, presidential election in America have debate. We, Tibetan government exile, also have debate of candidates. We do everything that functioning government does. Look, election in very cold place. Look at that, there is winter, very cold. They carry ballot boxes on the back of horse. This is Ladakh, near Ali. Can you imagine they're carrying ballot boxes at minus 30 degrees? So our election staff members, they all do volunteers, okay? No one pays them. They still do that. Now you can say, my God, there's like 20 kilometers of road. Something could have happened to ballot boxes, right? But if volunteers are risking their life carrying these ballot boxes at minus 30 degrees, you trust them. Look, frozen lake. They're risking their life to collect few votes from the tents, from the nomadic area, right at the border of Tibet. We are sending message to Tibet also. Hey, look at this, across the river, across the mountain. We vote, we elect, we have democracy. Back there you don't. This debate in 2016, my second term. So I served 2 terms. But because 2 term limit, okay, that's why I left. And then how do we do cross-continental, right? Again, as I said, you have to have green book to pay. You don't pay, you don't vote. So, age 18 to vote, 25 to be member of parliament, 35 to be ministers. We all have all the sets, rules and regulations like any other election anywhere in the world. Sometimes we had a debate in Dharamsala, next day in Delhi, 3 days later in Zurich, 5 days later in Washington, D.C. So in 9 days, I cover Asia to Europe to America. Very tiring. So, President of America's job is easy, Dolkun, right? We have to go to 30 different countries. Our job is the toughest job. And if it's democratic, tougher than anyone else. That adds to our credibility and legitimacy. Yeah, this is the green book. You don't have green book, you can't vote. So you better pay your membership. It's voluntary, but right? If soon in election, if you don't pay, no vote. That's World Uyghur Congress, right? Rule now? Yeah, they all agree, yeah. Now, as I said, it's very simple. You don't have to do much. Executive, 6 presidents are there, vice presidents are there, they could be cabinet. You call them cabinet, yeah? An executive committee of 30 members, they could be parliament. You call them parliament, don't call them executive, this is a parliament. And all you need to do is you have to elect a speaker by the General Assembly or the delegate meeting. He says he's the speaker. And then you have executive meeting, right? Yes. Someone presides over the meeting, call him speaker or her speaker, right? So that you give you more time. That's why I pointed out. And then Auditor General also should be autonomous, should be elected by General Assembly auditors. So all President, Speaker, and Auditor General are directly elected by General Assembly. They all are accountable to the General Assembly. So they can say, I'm autonomous. So this is important. And 5 regional offices could be same embassies. So you already have the structure. You already have election. You already have everything. You just restructure it, rename something, and have 1 or 2 people. You are Uyghur government exile. That started in Urumqi, is back in Munich. One day soon, you'll go back to Urumqi. Thank you.
Let me say a few words. The Tibetan government in exile has a rich and extensive experience in leading a people in exile and staying well prepared to go back to Tibetan homeland and run a governing entity when the CCP regime falls. So the Tibetan government in exile can offer a lot that the Uyghurs in diaspora can learn and should learn. And we Uyghurs are very lucky that we have heard today directly from you, Dr. Sangay, and are very grateful for coming to this event and giving a highly valuable and a very informative presentation. I am really impressed.
Thank you.
And we will remember the 4 S's you said. Start, survive, strengthen, and sustain. Those are your most valuable experience.
And the 5th S is success.
Before I accept questions from the audience, I want to ask a few questions myself first. I take advantage of my position. Do you know any example of a government formed in exile? Like in the case of Tibet, it was formed in Tibet, and it became an exiled government of the Chinese CCP occupation. So is there any other government that formed abroad, not in the homeland?
Yes, the example that I gave you, the Polish government exile and the Spanish government exile, they were formed in exile. And Baltic states also, they formed in exile. Now presently also they have Belarus, exile government. And Venezuelan interim government, we just got changed. And you also have Syrian interim government. Syrian interim government is there, but the Venezuelan interim government changed. So if you got elected at home and you come to exile, then you could form interim government. But if you stay for a long period of time, the mandate ends, right, after 5 years or 10 years, then you need government exile.
I see, thank you. I bought a book in 1998. It is called Legal Materials on Tibet. Not from Amazon. I contacted the Tibetan government in exile and we got the book. Can you tell us a little bit how this materials came about?
It's, for archival purposes, very important. What we used to do is all the legal related documents we had, we used to compile it every 10 years because someone will lose some document. So we compile every 10 years so that over 50 years we have compiled all the legal materials in one book. So similarly, we used to actually do all the media coverage of any small pieces from Germany or Italy. We all were sent to Dharamsala, and we used to photocopy and compile it. so that we have archive. We archive everything. Now we are digitizing that archive. It's very important because memory, is short. So institutional memory is very important.
I see. So the people who contributed to that are all Tibetans, or you have outside?
No, we have Michael. We have other, friends as well. So, but then it's compilation, right? So we say any parliament has passed resolution or a statement or anything, send it to Dharamsala. So that's why I showed you the Ministry of Information International Relations. We have a division which compiles everything.
I see. Thank you. And you said that the location of the government exile is very important.
Very important.
Which country you suggest for Uyghur people?
Uyghur people, now you have to decide. You know that. For example, the president of Afghanistan, right? After Taliban took over, he fled. He's at UAE now. So occasionally he issues a statement, but from outside, it's pretty clear that he cannot function as the president exile. So yeah, he got asylum, he's safe, but as a government exile or president exile, he's not that effective. So you have to choose. Now, if that country is too small, your issue might become a local domestic issue, which is not bad, which is not good. Whoever is your host, you should disappear in that country. More you disappear, better it is. And if the country is big enough, then you can disappear. But also you need presence of your own people. So you can have performance, you can have government, you can have function, you can have events, right? So make sure that the government, there's geopolitics also. Tibetans for 65 years. In India, we have been mainly up. Our relationship has been positive, but sometimes it has been negative. After 1962 war, government exile was a bit of an issue. Yeah. Sometimes we were told, oh, you cannot fly a Tibetan flag, things like that, right? But we have always come back. So you must choose. Now, if you choose America, there's, oh, you're American Asian, right? If you choose Europe, maybe. So you must choose in such a way that it's big enough, where there are Uyghurs as well, or you need population also, some population, and then you can function.
If you are forced to give a suggestion, which country you choose?
I think then I'll have to charge fees. I mean, now I'm here just, this is an hour-long session, right? But if you really want to go through this, we can have a one-day-long session and go through every aspect of government exile, Then when you brainstorm everything, then, we can figure out. So you have to do cost-benefit analysis, who is where, and I have to get information from you too, Why, I might think this country, but I don't have all the information now, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Murat'a kaç vaktimiz var? İki soru var. İki soru.
Assalamu alaikum, hörmətli əncümə iştirakçıları, hörmətli Lobsang cənab. Bugünkü Tuğan Bakalımızda anlatma hayatı mən İstanbul'da öksüz 1900 bağlamından şəhərlərin çözümləri olmayışdır. Kısadan yetinizden anlatamı Kıvan yetinizden görüşünde hiç kadar birinci siz nihayet çiver, mahir, narkısı kalsın. Çünkü bu bağlamada canlı hakikatlerden hemimse sözün hakikatinde şeriflerden dinlemektedir. Çıkıntı memleket olursundan gelip umumun yüzde yaklaşımı mümkündür. Biraz bu sizinki Uyghur kurulayanın vekillerine, onun rehberlerine bana hürmetinizden ibaret oldu ki siz öz dakikatınızın bir punkt çırağıyla yazıp yapsınız. Bu nihayetinde bir özünüz boğan işenç ve hürmetiniz ve biz boğan hürmetinizden bilime bunu suçumuz çok rahmet. Gayet biz bundan körümüz Uygurlardan Tibet'e dair müstakillik doğrusu namaçlarına yazını yaptırıp bildirdi. Çünkü ben sizin hürmetinizle siz akıllı tutup Tibet halkına sürdürüldü. Hem size çok gönlümden rahmet edin. Gayet bir olayı. Ben de size soracağım savalım var. Birinci, Tibet hükümeti, Sovyet Tibet hükümeti.
Yeah, because of the translation, I did not fully understand your presentation, but it appears really organized and you put a lot of effort in it. I really appreciate your work and time put into this presentation. And there is going to be 2 questions now.
Sorumuna göre, Suriye'deki Tibet hükümetinin tanınan hükümet var, devlet tanınan Uygurlar Suriye'deki her sahalarda zaman vakılet halanlar var mı? Bozullar neticesi ve onlarda kanı yardım vardı. Bu bir. İkinciden, bana bizim Suriye'nin baskısı ketip varımız. Bizler birini görüp çıkardılar, birini görüp çıkardılar. Bizler fikir kıldılar, ama Suriye'nin beşikten yollar. Şu saha boyunca Uygur bizim kurultay vekillerine kuruş kerek derse yok, kuruş kerek elbette, hükümet polis kerek. Şu sahada nimlerini alıp, ne polis kerek. Biz onların azırak cüret kerek, azırak katı kollanan kerek. Bu kadar yetik çağırmış derecede. Çağırmasa sizden nasılsınız, nimdeyi böyle olur. Söz sormasınız. Rahmet.
The translation is not continuous, so he couldn't hear some of the parts, and he asked questions on the subject that you already mentioned. So we can explain to him later. Okay. What are you about? Sizdeki sualınızga mağbiyanki masuşida batiye mezmunlar. Sizge ayın depreli. Mağbiyan küsatken PowerPoint mende bağ. Eğer ki lazım olsa yaparsam. Ya yaxşı, yani bunu seni mi konuşuyor? Ya bunu sözlü değil. Ama ben seda boğantı. Ama ben nasıl bağ mezmunu bastırmam. O bana sigaret paraya ücretin kesildi. Tamam?
Benim sualım şu. Birinci Tibet'ninki halkara kanun ve halkara siyasi cihetki hazırki statüsü. Orne, nimo? Muşullam soraştı isteyme. Yani bir Tibet ahırın devletek. Hazır işgal kılıverilgan bir zeminde qarlandı, mustamlik kılıverilgan bir zeminde qarlandı. Halkara kanun ve siyaset tarafından itiraf kılınan statüsü nime?
My question is, what is the current status of Tibet in international law? Is it recognized as an occupied state or anything else?
Yes, Tibet, we say, is under illegal occupation of China. Tibet is a colony, colonized by China. That's what we say. And the International Commission of Jurists have come out with 3 reports. In 61 and 63, Tibet is under illegal occupation as per international law. And then U.S. Passed a law in 2002. They also say, they hint that. And then now we have a bill in Congress now, which the Senate Foreign Relations have passed. Now if the Senate passes, then it becomes a law. There also says Tibet, historically, as per international law, was a country. Thereby, Tibetans are entitled to have right to self-determination. So there's a law about to be passed at the U.S. Congress.
Tibet'ninki hazırki konkret ahvali, bizden özümüzdeki deyişimizden Tibet kanunsuz besinilişe düşürgen bir devlet. Birleşken Devletler Teşkilatı'nın 61. ve 63. yılda ilan kılgan resmi karar bilen Tibet'ni burun bir devletti. Hazır besiliş asıla değilik ve Amerika'nınki 2002 yıldaki bayanatıdan Tibet burun müstakil devletti. Hazır Tibet'ninki kileciği takip bekitilmeyen.
And also the UN General Assembly passed 3 resolutions in 1960s. One says Tibetans have right to self-determination. UN General Assembly has also passed 1 resolution.
Yani birisi Birleşken Milletler Şartı'ndaki bexatarlik kengişler 1960-yıllarda 3 nima chiqqan qaror chiqqan bo'lib Tibetninki o'zining taqdirini siyosiy taqdirini o'zi belgilash huquqiga ega deb bunga uchuq deyilgan.
That brother, the one question that you didn't mention but he asked is how many governments of the how many foreign countries recognize Tibetan government in exile?
Now there is no, when you're in exile, you have to navigate a gray area. So if you go through our offices of Tibet, which is embassies, internally we have certain protocol and recognition by certain foreign ministries. It depends from country to country. Now, US has recently, Tibetan government exiles acknowledged in the Tibetan Policy Act, right, my office also. Now, India has passed Tibetan Rehabilitation Policy Act by a Home Ministry or the Interior Ministry. In that also, they recognize Tibetans as refugees and the Indian government should look after them. So there is a law in India as well. So now we don't have a formal recognition, but semi-recognition. So India and US, but then our embassies, semi-embassies have certain protocols. For example, when you apply for visa for our staff members, we get through a quota. It's not just tourist visa. So it depends from country to country. That's what I'm saying, if you're a government exile. So when we write to, let's say the Foreign Ministry of UK, we use that code and say, under this category, please issue visa. So our staff members are sent with a working visa, and they work in our office in Tibet. So most of our staff members are sent from Dharamsala, but visas are granted by different governments. So it's different subcategories.
Endi hozir Tibetdagi sürgün hükümetini resmi qurulgan davlatlar endi rasmiy shaklda yo'q. Ama bu nayki nima deymiz? Biraz var bir fond. Buni g'ayr rasmiy qabul qilgan deyish to'g'ri kelsa, Hindiston bilan Amerika buni qabul qilgan. Bundan boshqa, ya'ni masalan Hindistonda Tibetliklarni rasmiy göçmen, refugee, musafirler, qabul qilib bilanki masalalar qilish to'g'ri ayrim qonun bor. Yana birisi Tibetniki o'zining pasporti bilan Angliyaga berish uchun biz o'zimizniki diplomatik kod bilan mana shu viza ishlar masalan rasmiy xat yoza olamiz va uni shu hukumatimingniki nimasilar bilan unga viza berdi. Bu ham bir rasmiyat yani. Gerçi onu resmi bir devletler itiraf qilmagan bo'lsa-mu, mana shuning o'zi bir itiraf qilish yani. Shunday bo'lgandan bu g'ayr rasmiy shakldagi itiraf qilinish deyish bo'ladi.
Both the laws, Indian law was passed in 2014 when I was in the administration, and the US was passed in 2020.
Yani Hindistan'daki bu kanun 2014 yılda maqullangan, Amerikadagi qonun bo'lsa 2020 yilda maqullangan. Bu qonunlarning o'tishining o'zi Tibetniki sürgünlükniki ular tarafidan g'ayr rasmiy shaklda itiraf qilinganligiga nimasi nishon yani. Sharti.
One final question. Just one. Over there, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Ray Wong. I'm from Hong Kong and based in Germany. Thank you, Lobsang, for your very inspiring and informative presentations. Our Hong Kong diaspora is exactly having a very similar conversation as to whether we should form a global diaspora institution. And these presentations gives me a lot of inspirations. There are already a few initiatives. For example, some people propose to form a parliament in exile, some propose to form a government in exile. but we always stumble across the same issue, which you have also shown on your slide, which is the divergence from the people in our homeland. Because when we talk about forming global diaspora institutions, we try to represent our nations, we try to represent Hong Kong. But then the problem is whether we are representing the Hong Konger overseas or Hong Konger in Hong Kong. And we can imagine if we claim that we represent all the Hong Konger, then CCP will mobilize some people in Hong Kong and say they don't represent us. And it may undermine our legitimacy and our credibility. So I want to know how you deal with this issue, and would like to hear from your experience. Thank you very much.
One vote.
Ben Hongkong'dan geldim. Sizinki bugünkü bergen presentation aytdı. İlham oldu bizge. Çünkü biz Hongkonglularmı çetelde bir çeteldeki hükümet yoki parlament qurish to'g'risida ancha fikrlar bor. Ammo biz agar bir Hongkonglarga surgun hukumat yoki parlament qurib, biz Hongkonglarga chet-ellik Hongkonglarga vakillik qilmasak, u chog'da bizning Hongkongga bir muncha Hongkong kelib qoldi, ularga vakillik qilmay qilamiz. Agar biz u Hongkonglarga vakillik qilmasak, biz o'zimiz chet-elda. Shundan keyin bu masalaga sizlar qanday hal qilsizlar bunga? Sizlar qanday nima qildinglar bu masalada so'rayman.
Yeah, one vote, democracy. So what we say is Beijing government is not democratic, so you represent Tibetans in Tibet. Tibetan governors, party secretary is always Han Chinese. Governor or any executive, deputy party secretaries, we always say they're appointed, not elected. Our Sikyong and ministers are elected, so we have democratic mandate. So that's how we challenge. We have democratic mandate because of democracy, and you don't. Number two, again, is very important. His Holiness Dalai Lama can say, I represent 6 million Tibetans in Tibet. But Tibetan government exile, more often we say, we reflect the aspirations of Tibetans in Tibet. Right? We can reflect. Right? So that's what we say. This is what they want. And we are their spokesperson. And when they bring some other people, they are appointed by Chinese government. They will say what they are told to do. We reflect and we are their spokesperson. And they're suffering. So that's how you challenge them. And it's always the case, again, you must understand, again, we have gone one step further. In 1993, His Holiness Dalai Lama said, the day Tibetans are granted autonomy in Tibet, Tibetan government exile will dissolve. Meaning we are not fighting for power to go back to Tibet and become government. I did not become Prime Minister or President to become President of Tibet. I left my job to reflect the aspirations of Tibetans in Tibet. So when Tibetans in Tibet or Hongkongers or Uyghur can say, you can't represent us, you don't speak for us. I'm not. I'm just reflecting your aspirations. I'm your spokesperson. But then they might say, my views are different. Yes, but there are many other Uyghurs, many other Hongkongers, many other Tibetans who share my views. I know that. And if they say, how? Let's have a referendum in Tibet. A Chinese government cannot have referendum in Tibet. Let's have election in Tibet. Sometimes I jokingly say, if there is an election in Tibet, right? If I am a candidate, or any Chinese is candidate, I know I will win. Not because I'm Lobsang Sangay, but Tibetans in Tibet will choose a Tibetan, not Han Chinese. Hongkongers in Hong Kong will choose a Hongkonger. Uyghur in East Turkestan will choose a Uyghur guy, not Han Chinese. Let's have election. Let's have referendum. You can challenge that. So with that, we're ending?
Yeah,
Enforcer.
I'm doing the translation.
Okay.
And bunun cevabı hem de biz bunun cevabı işte hem de yaxşı cevap demokratiya. Çünkü Xitay bu yerdeki hükümeti, Xitay'ın hükümeti nima qilgan? Saylov natijasi barliq kelmagan, u faqatlanki tayinlangan. Shunga qaraganda tayinlangan birisi hargiz xalqningki siyosiy orzusiga vakillik qilmaydi. Shunga qaraganda o'zing vakillik qilmaysan, sen tayinlangan birisi. Biz olsak, hamma odamningki siyosiy orzusiga vakillik qilmasak, ularningki orzusiga, ya'ni ular aspiration, deymiz, ularningki irodasini biz bu yerda o'tirib qo'ya olmaymiz. Ma'riz bu yerda bir bosh ministr bo'lish uchun, prezident bo'lish uchun saylanmadan, agar bizni Tibetliklarningki orzusiga vakillik qilmaydi bo'lsa, unda bo'lsa biz Tibetda referandum kılaydı. Tibetlikler üzüye, bizim kayıp deyip, üzününki hükümetini sayılsın. Eğer kim sayılansın şunu itiraf kılaydı. De, Xitay'ınki bu yerdeki, Xitay hükümetinki bu yerdeki kanuni, kanunsuz oturup çıkışından ibaret bu bir kanunsuzluğu ne? Biz nim kılımız deyden de. Oturup koymuyoruz, şuna bakın ki her vakit, bu da herkes referanduma kiremeydi elbette. Tibetliklerin uzanma hükümetin sayılanlar oturda bir sayılan teşkil yemeyen ki, ulan onu kavatkan işi zaten kanunsuz demek için.
So let me no time. No? So let me end by saying, because we all are in exile, we all are always fighting, we always wonder whether we will succeed or not. I can assure you, we all will succeed. Remember 5S. Start, survive, strengthen, sustain, and succeed. Why? There's a spiritual reason, historical reason, and human reason. Historically, you say, oh, China is so powerful, Chinese empire is coming, Chinese world order is coming. Don't worry. In 20th century, in 100 years, 7 empires collapsed. Ottoman Empire, British Empire, Russian Empire, all collapsed in 100 years. Yes, all the dictators died. They all died. Okay, our day will come. Spiritually speaking, Islam is an ancient religion. Yes or no? Yes. Buddhism is 2,500 years old. Communism is 100 years old. They are bacha. They are just a child. We survived 2,500 years. Yes or no? Yes. From the Silk Road of Kashgar to Urumqi to Central Asia, yes? Yes. We survived in the mountains of Tibet, 4,000 meters high. They cannot come and live with us. They eat rice, we eat barley. Yes or no? Yes. So, spirituality is with us. Our spirit is with us. Tibetan DNA is very old. Uyghur DNA is very old. They just can't take, 1 million children here, 3 million people here and think it will disappear. Never. It will never happen. Truth will prevail. From Urumqi to Lhasa to Mongolia to Hong Kong to Taiwan. MashaAllah.
Ben tercih kılıp halkımızın input'a çünkü